Hello everyone, Richard Martin here to go over the replay of the Hague with commentary. So I found a way to break this map. It's actually pretty straightforward. There is some flexibility. This is a particularly optimized one where I was able to grab this airfield on turn 4, but that's probably not on average likely. But you can still get a decisive victory if you grab this airfield on turn 5. You'll see when we get there what's going on. So the big idea is you're going to concentrate your army to overwhelmingly fill in this gap and seize Rotsdam by turn 5. So the first phase is you're just going to clear a path. You're going to bring all of this artillery with you, and you're going to molest Rotsdam. It's going to be a very, very brutal fight, and it's going to be a lot of suppression and de-entrenchment because we want to seize the outskirts here by the end of turn 5, because that's what initiates the second phase. The second phase is Oladir drops here on turn 4 or 5, binds a bunch of infantry units in the area, which opens up the path to this airfield. And it's actually pretty open. There's mostly just infantry between you and the airfield, and you're going to have your armor in front leading the way with your mobile artillery. And you're going to make contact at that airfield in phase 2, and phase 2 is about cleaning up the left flank. You're going to try to grind these guys down as fast as possible, so you can start phase 3, which is to make your push towards the Hague, and you should de-entrench the anti-tank ahead of time to make things easier for Oladir. Kesha is going to help take out this artillery piece. We're going to have a couple of 88 guns to clean up armor. We're going to be doing a bunch of tricks with paratroopers where we can trap fighters with them. We can drop them behind and then help seize this hex. And you can park one here so you can bomb some ships with your level bombers. So I have 2 level bombers and 7 artillery pieces. This is a very, very artillery heavy map. And there's a trick to get rid of a tank on turn 3 that we'll see. So let's just get this rolling. The level bombers are very, very important for this map because I can deal with the forts more easily. And I'm using the weakest level bombers. And they're the best because they drain ammo more effectively than the Heinkel. And it's very important that your artillery gets as many shots as possible, so that has a lot to do with the placement. And we're going to save as many of these guys as we can and then use them as bait later. So now begins the great artillery barrage. I have a movement +1 artillery, which helps a lot. If you get a first hero on an artillery, make sure it's so you can see I got a nice efficient movement here. And we're gonna boot him onto the bridge. Usually the paratrooper can finish it off without too many problems. And the tank is tactical bomber. And you're going to see me just very aggressively move forward. And don't shoot with the Storm Panzers yet. 188 gun's going to hang around for a fighter truck that's coming later. And I only really, 288 guns is excessive, but it's useful. This will always work until you see better stuff to hit. And I got lucky and I didn't do a whole lot of damage to that unit, so he'll leave the airfield after taking it, which is an important part of my strategy. It reduces the RNG on the map. Next, we're going to park the tactical bomber over the bridge because we know a tank is coming. And that tank has been taken care of. We can finish it off with a Panzer Jaeger, and it's not a problem. Now we have to get that anti-tank onto the river. And the double level bomber strategy is really helpful. If they were much stronger, that would be down to 1 ammo. And notice there's this relentless push. You just don't have a lot of time. So all of the artillery should be concentrating on Rodston. Except I have one guy hanging back because there's no room. And he can be very helpful for the entrenchment in the south. So now we gotta push that guy onto the river. He's only at 4 entrenchment, so that's why it's super important that you attack in turn 2. And then I have another artillery piece that conveniently comes up to suppress the anti-tank. And now I can seize my first axe. And Oladir is going to fly to that airfield. We're setting a trap for the anti-aircraft gun. We're going to pull it onto the river hex, so that way it's easier to kill and it de-entrenches itself. I have to drop a paratrooper in the back because I can only have 4 points at once. It's very likely you'll get a rugged defense here, because I think you're at 5 entrenchment. And I don't know what the rugged defense chance is, but it's probably really high. Which is useful because we want to damage that tank a little bit. Because we're going to kill it next turn. So these guys are activating. And now he's gonna die. Notice the maneuvering I'm doing around this airfield to save the 3 paratroopers without taking damage, which is very helpful. And he's dead after this turn or next one, it doesn't particularly matter. So I parked Oladir over him because he's going to move off the airfield. If he's not damaged, I think he's with 13 strength or more, and then he moves off the airfield. But it's unlikely, on average, that you would do that much damage in combat. My Panzer IV had something useful to do, and now we're gonna really get armor forward. Get that artillery forward. The anti-aircraft gun has to go now. All of these units are passive except for the anti-aircraft fort. But if you put artillery behind the unit next to the fort will not attack. And we are in the massive de-entrenchment battle, because these guys are at, I think, 6 entrenchment. So that's a lot of de-entrenching you have to do, but notice where all my artillery is. It's basically designed so I can get them to deliver a shot. And my fighters are helpful here. Here comes the armor, but it's got a ways to go. The artillery is going to die so that my paratroopers are undamaged. But you can't save the artillery anyway for a decisive. Now this is a good fighter trap. It'll work every time. What's more tempting than paratroopers? Now we're really getting aggressive. We're going to get that Panzer Jaeger up there. He's got high heart attack. always positioning artillery up so they always get a chance to take a shot. And you keep hitting the flanks. Around turn 4, you can start approaching the northern objective from the north. We need to set up our air defenses here for the next turn. So, they don't want to attack the He's fully unsuppressed. And there's no armor in the area, so it's difficult to deal with him. So they pile up around him. And because the infantry is piled up around him, the armor can't reach him. So he's really safe, ironically. And you get an airfield to refuel planes, which you should use. So you destroy the fighter this turn and trap the armor. Now the artillery is completely exposed. You just need to push your way through Rotston. But look at all of this artillery support. Says hello to the artillery. Use the spotting from the city to set a trap. Panzer on river is way too tempting to ignore. And we're bringing our other 88 gun over to help. Yeah, so AI is kind of in a tricky position because Rotston has ripped wide open, their air force has been decimated, and they can't attack Oladir. And once the armor gets out, then I can establish defensive perimeters. So look at this surrender pocket that's forming. I got a second movement +1. That was nice. So we've successfully trapped 3 of the 5 planes on the map. Once again, keep the tank occupied. Already in turn 6, I'm starting to de-entrench the anti-tank. There is a slow-moving tank coming, but it's very slow. So there's this massive surrender pocket. They're all pulled towards Oladir, and the other airfield isn't being rigorously defended, and they're not going in the entrenchments. So, well, they are in some of the entrenchments, but I have plans for how to deal with that. This one doesn't matter. This one does, and this one we're gonna pull around. You'll see that. Kesha's clocked over to help establish a defensive perimeter. Now we need to get rid of that guy. Is a problem. That's surrounded by my units. He's in an entrenchment, and we just need to get rid of him because he's got a lot of entrenchment. Meanwhile, I'm setting up a defensive perimeter around Rotston. I'm shortening. The idea is to shorten your front here so you can concentrate this way. Now we've drained him of ammo, we can really go to town on that guy. Force of surrender. And this final wave is coming, but it's very slow. I was experimenting with trapping the fighter, but I realized what I did here wasn't best, but there's a good way to trap the fighter. The last fighter that's coming. And that will pull the guy out of the entrenchment into an attack. And you must constantly bombard the anti-tank to de-entrench it. But the whole key is to take out the anti-tank so that you have an approach to the Hague. I think I'm going for the kill. That's Kesha. Yeah. So the second wave of armor is gone. That was not necessarily good. What I should do is put the fighter on the... I should put this paratrooper on this hex and the fighter behind it. And then I'll pull the anti-aircraft gun out of that hex to attack the paratrooper. And I'm still going to be able to get the attack off on the fighter. And we can trap the bomber next turn. So then he pulled out of the entrenchment and lost all of his entrenchment. And then the other... one infantry went in there, and then the other infantry, seeing that the hex was seized, left the entrenchment. So he's really exposed now. So there's lots of kill opportunities here. Now I can fully resupply Oladir. I recommend turn 9 because he's going to be busy up to the end. So you got about 4 units between you and the Hague, so you need to take care of that somehow. Okay, you got 3 units. But they're kind of moving around and exposed without moving. So it's going to be okay. Because we've kind of tricked them into pulling out of the entrenchment. They see I've seized that hex again, so the infantry get pulled away from the Hague. But now they're jammed up against the post, so you can force surrenders. So on turn 10, the way is clear. And the fighter doesn't realize it, but there's a couple 88 in the area, so he's gonna have a bad day from that. That entire first wave has basically been dealt with, and the whole left flank is wide open. And last number is dealt with. I'll show you a trick on how we can do stuff here. The armor's still coming. It's like, it's really kind of funny. It's taking that last wave forever to get there, and I'm exploiting that. Boop. I locked it. Everything's so far committed forward, it's too late. We have to avoid the coast in case those ships get funny. And the artillery is toothless. Infantry goes down, we can just bounce them around. We're right next to the airfield, so it's not a big deal. I'm also getting anti-tank in position to deal with any surprises. So because there's that paratrooper there, it protects my bombers while I bomb the ships. So now I pull a couple of infantry north, but it's way too late. Kesha's job is done. Another tank went down. Grab some more prestige. That tank is pinned. So their armor has been neutralized. have so much artillery, we can just bounce units around. Use the auxiliary paratrooper to seize the airfield, but because there's artillery backing him up, the enemy won't. This third wave is already looking pretty pathetic. Deer slots in. Another annoying artillery piece is taken care of. Gotta use this tank. Total control here. We're just farming kills and experience. Another paratrooper went down, and that is fine. They have nobody, even if they kill him, they have no one that can take that field. So you can see we got a lot of hexes. We even got this guy. And there's no planes left. I don't really know if you can do better. As you can see, they're one turn away from trying to seize this, but we can always back off and put an infantry unit in there. And in terms of like what's left of their counterattack, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like 8 units left from the final counterattack. Like this is pretty good. We even managed to damage the ships. It's really hard to do better than this. It's pretty straightforward, actually. You just got to be very concentrated and super efficient with the entrenchment and artillery shots. And this little trick with Deer greatly simplifies the combat in this region. Until next time, Richard out.